let the good times roll.
A couple years ago, in 2021, I came across this listing on eBay for a PC Zone magazine Mafia 2 Special Collector's Edition, issue 207, June 2009. And of course, being Mafia Game videos, I had to have it, so I pulled the trigger. This PC Zone magazine is a rare piece of Mafia Game history because it talks about Mafia 2 1 year before it was released. Mafia 2 released August 2010, and this magazine is from June 2009. That's a 14-month difference. A lot of things changed from the time this magazine was published to when Mafia 2 released. On Twitter, I tagged Mafia 1 and Mafia 2's original scriptwriter Daniel Vavra, who was interviewed in this publication, and he was surprised to see this United Kingdom magazine after all these years. There's a lot of information in this magazine that Mafia 2 die-hard fans don't know about. There were even some things that I never knew. For example, I never knew Joe Barbro's nickname was The Barber. In this video, I will cover everything that is Mafia 2 related from this PC Zone magazine. First, let's talk about the magazine sleeve. This is not the actual cover of the magazine. This is a special folder encasing the magazine. Typically, magazines found at grocery stores and pharmacies do not come with a protective sleeve cover. It seems this was a special issue for PC Zone. On the front cover, we have Vito sitting on a chair with a 1911 pistol in his right hand. Here's a clear picture of Beta Vito from a different magazine. This Italian magazine is from May 2009, and it features a similar cover. This early concept artwork of Vito Scaletta is interesting. Vito looks different. He doesn't have a scar along his left jawline, and he looks a little husky. Now back to the magazine sleeve. On the top right corner it says, Inside, Special Collector's Edition. I guess this specific PC Zone magazine issue is a collector's item. In the middle it says, Mafia 2. Mission reveals, insider interviews, exclusive access. And on the back of the protective sleeve it says, Cover story, extra, Mafia 2, read all about it. Your collector's edition mag. We visit 2K Czech Studios to get the latest on the epic mob shooter sequel. Full mission reveal and developer interviews only in PC Zone. The cover of the magazine is unique. The design mimics a vintage newspaper. On the very top it says, 30 cents. The original PC Games newspaper, and underneath it says PC Zone with the letter O as a globe and a computer mouse wrapped around it. Then underneath that it says issue 207, June 2009, special collector's issue and a website link. The newspaper's headline is Mafia Clash Again. On the left side are the following news headlines. Warrant issued for mobhead's arrest. Cops close to busting criminal ring. Mechanic's motor misdemeanor. Ex-mobster Tommy Angelo gunned down in garden. The middle of the newspaper's cover is a picture of Joe, Vito, and Henry. Underneath the picture it reads, Empire City's Most Wanted. Accomplices are thought to be aiding these criminals escape from the scenes of their crimes. Here's the original picture in color that was used. On the left we can see Joe wearing a pinstripe suit with a yellow tie. In the middle is Vito also wearing a pinstripe suit. And on the right is Henry, who looks the same as in the final game. Vito and Joe's faces in this concept artwork look different from the final game. Here's a different angle of Joe and Vito. You can see their faces and outfits more clearly. Anyways, back to the cover. The two paragraphs on the bottom left and bottom center talk about non-Mafia games, so I'll skip those sections. The column on the right says, Seedy Criminal Underworld Exposed by Daniel Vavra. Two rival mobster families clashed in violent scenes this weekend in Empire City, leaving 13 men dead. The shootout saw a brewery completely destroyed, as the rival gangs showed no consideration for the business's owner or any of the innocent bystanders. The entire brewery has been totally ruined, said one eyewitness who did not wish to be named. The walls are literally covered in bullet holes. The noise was deafening. We've been hot on the tails of one member of the gang who goes by the name of Vito, said Detective Tony Rossi, the man charged with investigating this crime. These criminals are no goons. We think they're in cohorts with at least one unknown collaborator who is helping these killers escape by providing new clothing and vehicles when they demand them. But we've had a tip-off that these gangs are holding secret meetings in bars and restaurants. We know where these places are and we're closely monitoring all of them. The mayor of Empire City has been criticized of late for turning a blind eye to much of the mafia's criminal activity, leaving local and hard-working folk of Empire City fearing for their safety. Continued on page 54. The news excerpt here talks about Chapter 5, The Buzzsaw, where Vito, Joe, and Henry ambush the fat man at the distillery in Sand Island. According to the paper, Detective Tony Rossi believes it was two rival mobster families that clashed, when in reality it was Vito, Joe, and Henry who killed Sidney Penn and his bodyguards. Sidney Penn, also known as the Fat Man, was a former Clemente crime family associate who refused to share the profits from his distillery with Don Clemente. As a result of his greediness and lack of loyalty, he was killed by Vito and Joe. Right off the bat, we can see Empire Bay was originally referred to as Empire City. It also says 13 men were killed, coincidentally in Chapter 5, The Buzzsaw. Henry's 13th contract was to kill the Fat Man. Henry tells Vito and Joe that the reason he got shot was because the Fat Man was his 13th contract, and the number 13 is bad luck. Coincidentally, Henry dies in Chapter 13, Exit the Dragon. Page 4. In the middle picture it says, 54, cover story, Mafia 2. If you've ever wanted to be a gangster, here's your chance with the return of Mafia. And the second paragraph of the column reads, Anyway, what do you think about our collector's edition Mafia 2 cover? We're chuffed with it, and the game deserves no less than the special effort we undertook to secure Mafia 2 this issue. Turn to page 54 for Steve's Czech beer-fueled article. On page 5, we can see artwork of Vito and his father. This artwork is from Poster 3, which you can unlock in Mafia 2 after completing Chapter 4. On the bottom right-hand corner it says, What's on the cover? 54, Mafia 2. Too busy? PC Zone in 81 words. We're gangster happy this issue, what with the exclusive peek deep inside Mafia 2, as our deeply cool cover has already told you. Isn't it just a job very well done? Then on page 12 and 13 there is a large picture of Vito and Joe from Chapter 10, Room Service, shooting at Don Clemente's men. It reads, Cover story, Mafia 2. Welcome to a time when men wore hats, and it was cool. The backdrop to Mafia 2 is a fictional blend of New York and San Francisco, a heady mix of two distinct mafioso atmospheres pervading every ounce of the game. Mafia 2's got atmosphere coming out its ears. Its incredible world is at all times cinematic, a forever-changing, often surprising city that brims with life and character, from its retro cars to the fashion choices of its AI pedestrians. You won't hear us say this often, but playing this game will make you feel like you're entrenched in the 1950s. It's been a year since we last visited 2K Czech. We fell in love with Mafia 2 then, and we're ready to fall at its feet all over again. Welcome to Empire Bay City. Page 54. Page 54. Upfront feature. Estimated time of arrival, winter 2009. The Italian job, Mafia 2. Grabbing his Trilby and Tommy gun, Steve Hogarty heads downtown. Developer 2K Czech. Publisher 2K Games. Website mafia2game.com. The lowdown. Detailed, vibrant world, incredibly well directed. Excellent voice acting, drenched in atmosphere, too many cutscenes. The gameplay picture's caption says, The laundry room shootout is steamy. I like how it says the ETA for Mafia 2 is winter 2009. In the near future, Mafia 2 would be delayed and the game would release August 24, 2010. Mafia 2's holiday confession trailer debuted on Spike Video Game Awards on Sunday, December 14, 2008. And at the end of the trailer it says Fall 2009. It seems Mafia 2's release date was delayed from Fall 2009 to Winter 2009 to July 2010 to eventually August 2010. Page 55. On the top we can see a timeline of 2K Czech. It reads, The story so far, 2K Czech. In 1999, Hidden and Dangerous, 2K Czech's Warworld 2 shooter appears. 2002, Mafia. We all love Mafia so much we run around in circles. 2008, Check Yourself. Illusion Softworks' name changes to 2K Czech after a buyout. 2009, Mafia 2. Soon we'll witness a game that can only be described as Mafia 2. Then we can see a gameplay screenshot of Vito driving Joe and Marty. The caption says, Car handling's been tweaked to make driving more fun. In the picture, both vehicle license plates say Night, and the above it reads, Opportunity Land. To the right of the picture it says, "In the Hood, Places and Faces." Isn't it great that we've reached the point on the PC gaming timeline where we no longer have to mention that, while Empire Bay City is broken into 20 distinct neighborhoods, there's no loading times between any of them? Just imagine when we reach the point where we don't even have to mention us not mentioning it. That'll be a moment to silently cherish. The city's districts range from picket-fenced suburbia to industrial estates. The type civilians you meet vary too, from violent Irish drunks, 2K checks generalization, and Sicilian housewives to well-dressed upper classes and business sorts. Then the text in the middle says, though not as eyebrow-raising as having a jet-packing T-Rex crash through the wall, Mafia 2 plays about with a few curious anachronisms. As our hero Vito Scaletta attaches a bomb to the underside of a table, he hums the Mission Impossible theme tune, a TV show which wouldn't have existed until a decade later. I can't tell if this is a deliberate inclusion or an oversight. "We've a few Easter eggs like that," laughs Jarek Kolar, senior gameplay producer on Mafia 2. References to other movies and games. Regardless, it fits. The tone of the game is that of almost every gangster movie you could mention. Gallows humor from impassioned, larger-than-life characters, cut with a weighty 40s and 50s atmosphere achieved through the careful design choices of 2K Czech. The boxy, putt-putt toy cars of the first game have been replaced with sleek, fashionable new motors. Fashion itself has evolved, as evidenced by a pile of yellowing editions of mid-century Sears catalogs scattered about the studio. The game engine allows for 70 unique, high-poly characters to be rendered on screen at the same time, transforming the streets of Empire Bay City into a catwalk through time. When you brawl with an unruly gent in the street, their suit jackets flap and sway. As you slam a thug into the hood of your automobile, your tie swings about. The thunk of the bonnet as it buckles under pressure. 2K Czech gleefully announced that their engine can play some big number of sounds at the same time, and that's important. And the scuffling of feet on gravel. 2K Czech are also proud that no feet in the game will ever slide along the ground, a testament to their detailed animation system, conspire to convince you that you're there, and absolutely submerged in this gorgeous world and this evocative era. In the year since we last saw Mafia 2, it's approaching visual maturity. Just let your eyes wander about these pages and you'll notice how polished the game looks. Car traffic is denser, and the elaborate paving systems that prevent embarrassing AI pileups are in place. According to this excerpt, Joe Barbaro was humming the 1988 Mission Impossible TV series theme while he was planting the bomb under the table. I know the article says, Vito Scaletta attached the bomb under the table, but I believe that's an error. On the bottom, we can clearly see Joe Barbaro planting a bomb under the table, just like the final game. Also, Joe is a funny guy. He is more likely to hum the Mission Impossible tune while planting a bomb than Vito. It seems they removed this comedic bit in the final game because the lead designer thought it didn't fit with the time period since the tune didn't exist yet. Page 56. Musical smarts. The soundtrack, Mafia 2 boasts the most licensed tunes of any 2K game to date, is threaded into a cinematic audio system that gauges the situation and plays appropriate music through your car's radio. It looks at where you are, what time it is, and what you've just done or are about to do. Rolling home in the black of night after a bloody gunfight? You'll want something somber and contemplative. Cruising in the summer sun with your buddies? Get Rhythm by Johnny Cash will fit nicely. The dynamic playlist will be punctuated by era-specific advertising, as well as news stories relating your misdeeds and the big events of the time. 2K Czech also took the time to show us the seasons in which Mafia 2 takes place. Coming home from the war in 1947, Vito will be faced with an Empire Bay City in the grip of winter, where post-war depression looms over the city. As the plot moves forward, we're shown the city baking in the summer sun, while the closing scenes in the late 50s are in a spectacular golden autumn. The weather isn't dynamic, nor does the time of day change as you play. Drawing parallels with games like Grand Theft Auto 4 here is all too easy, but it's an entirely misleading comparison. Empire Bay City only partly falls under the tired adage of a living, breathing city. It's more an elaborate backdrop to the game's plot than a feature-crammed open-world playground. The first Mafia was much the same. You could walk around Lost Heaven for as long as you pleased, but you quickly discovered that it's not a place infested with kill frenzy bonuses, hidden comedy subquests, secret bazookas, and remote-controlled helicopters. Empire Bay City is a setting, the plate on which the meaty plotline rests. That works well here. Mafia 2's got a stronger narrative than any open-world game you could care to mention, and Empire Bay City's the perfect vehicle for it. We're shown a mission in full, room service, from roughly halfway through the game. It's the summer of 1951, and having just become made men, buddies Vito and Joe are tasked with carrying out a hit on a rival mob boss by planting dynamite in a conference room on the upper floors of the Empire Arms Hotel. The mission opens with Vito standing with his back to a cathedral. Above him a train thunders past. Around him pedestrians chatter. A man lights a cigarette and mumbles to himself. Cries of, "Extra! Extra!" come from a paperboy on the corner, and birds sing chirpy nonsense from the church grounds. The cathedral bells ring out the hour. It's a set piece, as in-game establishing shot, but that makes the detail shown here no less astounding. After meeting with Joe and Marty, your getaway driver, the three men exchange banter en route to the hotel. Kolar, meanwhile, explains how branching side missions work. "As we're pushing the player towards his goal," says he, "in many missions we'll place activities along the way, some situations that arise from the city life and draw the player's attention. He can explore these side activities if he pleases. There are ways to earn money in the city," claims Denby Grace, product manager at 2K. "And there are ways to spend your money too, but the actual side missions are fully integrated into the fiction. We never want to stop the player feeling like Vito Scaletta." On the bottom left corner are two case files of Vito and Joe. Vito Scaletta, alias, unknown, place of birth, Sicily, height, 5 feet 11 inches, weight, 200 pounds, scars and marks, long distinct scar along left jawline, which wasn't there in our last preview. Remarks: son of Sicilian immigrants, Scaletta recently left the U.S. Army and is known to be proficient with small arms. Approach with caution. The interesting thing to note here is Vito's iconic scar was added in 2009. If you look at Mafia 2 gameplay screenshots from April 2009, Vito did not have a scar along his left jawline. This means the decision to give Vito his iconic face scar was made in May 2009. Joe Barbaro, alias Joe the Barber Barbaro, place of birth, Empire Bay City, height, 5 feet 7 inches, weight, 220 pounds, scars and marks, small scar on chin, possibly from an epic gun battle or perhaps from shaving. Remarks: Barbaro's reputation as a petty criminal is known throughout Little Italy, is known to have contacted Scaletta upon his return from service. I never knew Joe's nickname was the Barber. That's what Mafia 2 developers told PC Zone. Who knows, maybe Joe gave haircuts to all the guys in Little Italy in his apartment. There is a lot of information on this page regarding content that didn't make it to the final version of Mafia 2. For starters, the song Get Rhythm by Johnny Cash was removed from the final game.
When you get the blues, come on, get a rhythm.
Next, the late 50s section of the game was removed. This final part of the game took place during the autumn-fall season, or as the magazine says on page 56, a spectacular golden autumn. And lastly, side missions were removed. According to Mafia 2's senior gameplay producer and product manager, side activities were fully integrated into the main story missions. These were optional side missions the player could choose to pursue or ignore. Page 57. Mafia morality. I've got a good example, he adds. Say you're on this mission here, on your way to the hotel. As you're about to cross the street, there might be a car crash and an old lady gets knocked down. So she screams, "Ah, help me." And now you can either say, "Well, I'm an asshole," and just walk away, or you can go and help her by chasing down the guy who's just hit her. The game throws a moral question at you. Vito and chums negotiate their way through Empire Bay City, arriving at the hotel's underground car park. Joe meets his man on the inside, who leaves you with the keys to the laundry room and access to some cleaner's overalls. With your disguise sorted, you both make your way to the lofty mobster's suite on the 18th floor. What you're seeing here, notes Grace, is an edited cut of the full mission. When you get to play it, you'll see that Joe's informant doesn't show up, and you're forced to find another route into the laundry room. The actual mission will take upwards of 45 minutes to complete. Exiting the elevator, you're quickly ushered into the conference room to clean up a mess before the big mob meet. Apparently somebody spilled something in there. The floor is packed with folks admiring the sky-high view and drinking at an expensive wine bar. Snippets of conversation can be heard as you're led through the relaxed lounge area to the conference room. "One of the guys in here earlier tripped and hit his head," explains your wise guy guide, "about 5 or 6 times. Poor guy." Once in the conference room, Vito and Joe get to work planting bombs and humming incongruities, ignoring the conspicuous dark red stain on the carpet. The bomb needs to be wired up to a trigger, so the window is prepared to have the wire threaded through it. "The trap is set," explains Grace. "So what the guys are going to do now is go upstairs to the roof, then use a window washing platform. They'll come down outside the window, rig the bomb, and detonate it. There were no remote devices back in the 50s. Well, that's the plan anyway." This gameplay screenshot says, Empire Bay City is based on San Francisco and New York City. There are a lot of structural landmarks in Empire Bay that resemble New York City, such as the Brooklyn Bridge, Lincoln Tunnel, Central Park, Empire State Building, Chrysler Building, etc. It seems the Highbrook Bridge located in the Dipton district was most likely inspired by the Golden Gate Bridge located in San Francisco. Page 58. All gone wrong. Joe hands Vito a 1911 Colt, just in case something goes wrong. And of course it does. The rooftop turns out to be a shooting gallery of men in long coats and Homburgs. The eventual detonation of the bomb leaves the rival mob boss utterly unharmed. He was in the toilet at the time. And the resulting chase through the hotel sees Vito and Joe taking cover behind bars, shooting through satisfyingly smashable plate glass windows, and working their way back down to street level. "We wanted to make a basic combat system," claims Kolar, "with just a few buttons. But with our animation technology, the game can recognize what the situation is by using the timing and the distances in the environment, and then play out the appropriate animation. For the player, it'll be really varied and rewarding." Vito smashes a man's head into a wall to prove the point, before the mission ends in a car chase. "In the first Mafia, the cars were pretty much a simulation," admits Grace. "We've taken a few more liberties this time, and made the cars that bit more exciting. There's still a realism factor to it. As you screech round a corner, a hubcap might fly off, or the bumper will come away slightly. We want it to feel dramatic. We want it to feel exciting. You can buy cars, store cars, and customize cars too," he adds. "We really want the player to get attached to their vehicle. Auto shops in Empire Bay City allow you to upgrade your cars with hot rod engines, side pipes, and flaming paint jobs straight out of the California Kid. It's an expensive hobby, so you'll be able to carry out some basic repairs on your car, should it be riddled with bullet holes mid-mission, or at least enough of a repair job to get it back to your garage in one piece." The car chase fades before our eyes are irreparably scarred by free-flying spoilers, and the mission demonstration comes to a close. Mafia 2 is shaping up to be something very great, and at the very least a worthy successor to the original game. The demonstration does shed light on a few concerns, namely the regularity with which the game tugs the controls rudely out of your hands to roll out a cutscene, however well directed, shot, and voiced they may be. And before we can get our hands on the controls, we can only guess how changes to the car handling will affect things. The style and detail, and the changing of the artistry and design of Empire Bay City across 2 decades is nonetheless spectacular. Even the invention of TV is incorporated into your rags to riches story, with Joe's apartment becoming increasingly well-furnished as the plot progresses. New cars are introduced, improved weapons become available, and new music can be heard on the radio. The city and the world transform before your eyes as the game continues and years tick by. A minefield of potential anachronisms that may be, but it's a minefield we'll all too readily explore. Then on the bottom left corner it says, "Cops and robbers, Mafia 2's police are a tad slack. In the original game, the boys in blue, all fine upstanding Irish immigrants, God bless ye, would have you in cuffs for even the most petty crimes. Accidentally wave your gun around and there'll be a warrant out for your arrest. This time, evading the police for minor infringements is easier. Just dart around a corner and your misdeeds will be forgotten about. Speeding laws are looser too, and as you become more notorious, you can expect more leniency from the coppers. Mr. Scaletta," they'll stutter as they turn a blind eye. "I didn't realize. Carry on." This excerpt from the magazine talks about a respect system that was removed from the final game. Originally, Mafia 2 was planned to have a respect system. This means, as you progressed through the game and rose through the mafia ranks, people in the city would treat you differently, specifically the police. It seems after Vito becomes a made man, cops would look the other way for petty criminal offenses, like speeding or running a red light. This excerpt from the magazine talks about a respect system that was removed from the final game. And that concludes all Mafia 2 related pages from this special PC Zone magazine from June 2009. Here are 10 things we learned. Number 1. Empire Bay was originally called Empire City. Number 2. Empire Bay is based on New York City and San Francisco. Number 3. Empire Bay's nickname was Opportunity Land. This phrase originally appeared on vehicle license plates in Mafia 2. In comparison, the phrase, the Empire State, appears on New York City license plates in real life. Number 4. Joe originally hummed the Mission Impossible theme tune when he planted the bomb in Chapter 10 room service. Number 5. The song Get Rhythm by Johnny Cash was removed from the final game. Number 6. The late 50s section of the game was removed. This final section of the game took place during the autumn-fall season. Number 7. Side missions were removed. These side activities were fully integrated into the main story missions. These were optional side missions the player could choose to pursue or ignore. Number 8. Prior to June 2009, Vito didn't have a scar on his face. Number 9. Joe was born in Empire Bay and his nickname is the Barber. And number 10. Mafia 2 originally had a respect system planned where people would treat you differently as you progressed through the game. As a made man, the police would look the other way for small infractions. I hope you wise guys enjoyed this video. It would mean a lot if you shared this video with fellow Mafia Game fans. It took me a long time to write the script and edit this video. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more Mafia Game content. Thank you.